how to become a better woodworker, learn how to lay out a job or lay out the product that you want to build. Learn how to build it either in your head or on paper or on both. You know, you can sit at a coffee shop and just daydream and figure out how to build something. You can build it in your head before you even touch a tool, and you know if everything works out. That's when you know you're becoming a better woodworker, is when you can do that. You know, you have it laid out in your head, done, ready to rock and roll. So today we're going to be talking about how to become a better woodworker. Okay, so the first thing that comes to mind, I would say, would be practice. Obviously, practice makes perfect, is what they always say. That's not always results. Perfection is hard to achieve, if at all, ever. But, you know, when I first started out, like 12 years ago, I basically knew nothing. I went and worked at a cabinet shop, and they taught me quite a bit. So working at a cabinet shop as my first job helped me, you know, boost my knowledge, I guess, and eat, sleep, breathing woodworking for the most part, watching videos, especially David Marks, one of my favorite guys of all time. Used to watch Woodworks. I think it was on one of those HGTV type channel, DIY channel. Huge inspiration. Just find an inspiration of someone, or find someone that you really look up to. Learn from them. That's my number one thing as well for, you know, the whole intro into woodworking, how to become a better woodworker. That's huge. If you're not having fun learning, then you're not going to have fun woodworking. And you always will be learning. Don't ever give up on learning. I'm learning. Everyone's learning. You can be doing this for 20 years. If you're not learning, you're stuck in your ways, and good for you. But there's always room for improvement, unless you're a CNC machine. I haven't met any walking, talking CNC machines, but I'm sure that's soon to come. So like when I first started woodworking, I built my wife an arcade unit before I even woodwork, pretty much, and I just used some tools that I would have never even begin to think about using nowadays to get this thing built, you know. It was just crazy. But when we had our firstborn, we had Izzy, we're about to have Izzy, this was about 12 years ago, a little over, and it was like, hey, we need a crib. Like, can I build a crib? And my wife was like, no. Changing table? Sure. And so I got to build a changing table, and that's seriously, I knew absolutely nothing. So it's like, you know, I don't even know if we even used the dang thing. I think we did. It was just huge. It was not the right shape, size. Everything was just in huge proportions for the room. It was the world's biggest changing table. So yeah, that was pretty cool. Woodworking plans. Those are great. And it's probably one of my pet peeves, I think. Or it's one of those, it's not really a pet peeve, it's just one of those things, like, they're great when you're first starting out. I've never used woodworking plans. It has nothing to do with me or, you know, like saying, oh my gosh, I'm too good for that. Nothing at all. I just have I have a hard time following directions. So like even when I was little and I bought hobbyist model little kits, and you got to put everything together. Yeah, you know, just wing it is what I usually do. And I mean, that's good sometimes, it's bad sometimes, but for woodworking, for the plans, and you always hear, it's like almost like crack, you know, there's all these people, not that they're crackheads or anything, but there's all these people, like, especially in groups and forums on Facebook, like, hey man, that looks awesome, you got any plans? You got any plans? It's like, you don't really need plans. I mean, if you're just starting out, sure, they help you get a grasp of how things are put together, but I mean, if you're using more than one plan, you're not going to really evolve into a better woodworker. So I mean, that's a huge thing, I think.
Good morning, how can I help you?
Yeah, can I get a medium hot coffee with 1 and 1?
Medium hot 1 and 1?
Yep.
Okay.
That'll be it.
227.
Cool, thank you. That's how I like my coffee. 1 and 1. I get it black sometimes too, but today's a 1 and 1 day. I need a little bit of boost from that powdered fake milk, and really bad for your sugar, I'm guessing. So plans have their purpose, I guess. But what really excelled me, I think, and what I've noticed with a lot of other people that I've met over time with plans of woodworking plans, it was just like me working at somewhere. When I worked for someone building cabinets, I never really excelled. I kind of just built and did what they told me, and I never really got it much better. You know, of course, I slowly got better, and you know, you're getting better, you're getting a little better, and then you kind of just, you don't know what you're made of until You actually are just doing something from scratch out of your head. Because once you start training your brain to think like, hey, I can build this, let me figure out how, you start developing more skills, I think, and you start developing more, like understanding of woodworking. So that to me is huge. If you have plans and you're just cutting out a list, you're honestly, if you just keep doing that and you love that, that's great. That's awesome. But if you want to get better and you're upset, or not upset, but you're just like, man, I really want to get better, then that's not going to help you much. You're just going to be a fine-tuned part cutting machine, I guess. And if that's what you want to do, that's totally cool. Not a huge deal at all. But if you want to, just grasp everything a little better, it's all about just understanding how it's put together and trial and error. Trial and error is huge. Like if I didn't mess up, I would never get any better. But messing up, you get so upset, you don't want to mess up again. So therefore, you do things a little better. Another thing I've noticed that helped me along the way is put everything into it. Even if you're unsure it's going to work, hopefully you know it's going to work, and it should be close enough to work as far as the project, putting it all together. It should work because, if you're doing storyboards and laying it out, which I show in other videos, you can almost lay out a whole thing 3D on paper or on a piece of wood flat, and that will show you, what's going to work, what size everything needs to be, and all that good stuff. Hello. Thank you. Not one word. She must not have had her Dunkin'. Yeah, build it like you mean it. I think that'd be a good motto. Because there's so many times when I was starting out that I wasn't sure how it was going to turn out, the project, or whatever I'm building. Let's say like an end table or a cabinet or anything, a shoe rack. I've never built this one before. Not sure how it's going to come out. So therefore, I was less likely to put everything into it, and like not half butted it. Well, I guess half butting things. In case you don't know what So I was doing that a lot. Not a lot. I was doing that. I was guilty of that for sure. So things would not come out as good as they could have come out because of that. It's like, oh, I'll get back to that later. Or, oh, I'll do that better later. Or I'll do that better next time. Just because, like, everything was new. So everything you're building is new. Like, I'm not a big fan of building the same thing over and over and over. That's more of an assembly line type thing. And that's why I do what I do and enjoy it still after 12 years. And I use the word enjoy very loosely. I do enjoy it. Although you do get burned out, just like everything else in life, you will get burned out eventually when your hobby becomes a career or a job. Therefore, it's not a hobby anymore. Which video and taking video and videography, well, I wouldn't call it that much. But making videos is a hobby for me now, and I really enjoy it. So, hey, we'll see what happens after 12 years of doing this. But you get burned out of things, so, I always want to keep things new and do things new. So now, that being said, if I'm doing everything new and I haven't built it this way before, or I want to try building something a different way, even though it's the same thing. It could be an upper cabinet, it could be an end cabinet, it could be a corner cabinet, it could be anything. It could be an end table, it could be a dining room table. I usually like to try to build things differently each time slightly, or just one up the last build by building it better with maybe a better joinery or better anything. So it was a really pretty tree and I just lost my thought. So so mainly the thing is, put everything into it when you're doing something. Don't half butt it. Don't know everything. If you know everything, you're not going to become a better woodworker. If you already know it, you want to fight with people and say, oh, this is the best way, this is the best way, this is the best way. Oh my gosh, I can't believe you put a 10 in there. Oh, to totally put a pocket screw. That's the opposite of what most people think. But I like thinking, however, it doesn't matter. It's all going to work. Maybe one way's a little stronger. Maybe one way's a little quicker. That's all that matters. If you're doing it for a career and you're not like the Ricky Martin of cabinetry, tooling. Now, tools are not everything. Tools help. So having a better table saw is going to give you a finer cut on something, or a higher, smoother cut that's going to accept whatever. It's going to accept the joint better, possibly. It's going to be a straighter joint, possibly. While, you don't have to have the best of equipment. It's not going to make you better. It's going to help you become better. Yes. So having better equipment is a plus. Having every tool that you need is not necessary. You know, you can use a smaller table saw, although that's one of the main things I recommend is getting a faster, better, bigger, stronger table saw, because when you're edge banding, just anything, it's going to stick to that better. It's going to have a nicer cut. It's going to be smoother. It's not going to bog down. It's not going to burn as much. It's not going to lead you to be sanding more parts. You can almost use a table saw. You can use a table saw as a straight edge. I have a joiner, or as a joiner, I guess you could use a table saw to make a straight edge like a joiner. I have one. I barely use it. I mean, I do use it when I need it, but it's not one of my number one tools. It's not my number one thing I would buy. But then again, everyone's everyone, so it doesn't matter. Maybe to you it's huge and you need it, and that's cool. But for me, table saw was the biggest thing I put my budget into when starting out on my own. Chop saw, obviously, or miter saw, you definitely need one of those. I definitely need one of those, depending on what career you're doing. You know, if you're doing handmade, sculpted furniture, then you might not even need any of these. You can just get away with a grinder. But for cabinet world, and most like furniture and box building and just things that are, you know, built, table saw is going to be your number one investment. So another thing that could help you become a better woodworker would be focusing or niching down, just like they do in the YouTube world. When you're making videos, they teach you to niche it down. And that to me would be, people drive awesomely. So if you're focusing mainly on like cabinetry or one item, you're gonna get better because, you know, you start, you know, it's almost like the whole like what makes a pro, I guess, or what makes someone a professional in their field. Obviously, it's the hours put into it, how much you know about it, and all that stuff. Just like for kitchens, you know, if I need measurements, I won't be spending all day like, man, how tall is a base cabinet, or how deep should a upper cabinet be? Technically, you know, that sort of thing. So you're kind of just, you're a little quicker at your measurements, you know, like I need my base cabinet to be 24 inches deep, 34.5 inches tall, depending on the countertop, because you want to find a final height of 36 inches, or an upper cabinet's 42 inches tall because it's 8-foot ceilings, and 12 inches deep is your standard. But then if they want to bump out, maybe you can go to 15 inches. And it's also how to become a better woodworker helps with how to lay out things. You know, once again, that's huge. Laying out is humongous. I look on YouTube and there's not many people talking about laying out. There's not many people watching how to lay out videos, which I don't understand, because laying out something, you don't need, there's woodworking plans out the wazoo, like how to make this, or here's the plans for this. Hey man, you got those plans. It's once again that you don't need those plans. You can just honestly build it according to your specifications, because you have the knowledge of how to lay it out. So that, I guess that's going to be my number one, actually, is how to become a better woodworker. Learn how to lay out a job, or lay out the product that you want to build. Learn how to build it either in your head or on paper or on both. You know, you can sit at a coffee shop and just daydream and figure out how to build something. You can build it in your head before you even touch a tool, and you know if everything works out. That's when you know you're becoming a better woodworker, is when you can do that. You know, you have it laid out in your head, done, ready to rock and roll. So hopefully this little video, which became basically a rant, will help you out. Let me know in the comment section below if you guys have any questions on how, you know, to become a better woodworker, or any ideas of, you know, that you'd like to see in the future of videos. And yeah, have a good one. Let's get this going.